In life, oftentimes we get thrown curveballs, and it starts from an early age. I think back to one thing that shaped me greatly was when I was 16 years old. Lived on a farm. I was emotionally and physically abused from age 10 to age 16. And it was by my mother, and nobody knew but herself and me. And it was difficult because we can all agree this isn't supposed to happen. So I remember one incident, and it was actually the last physical incident ever, where she backed me into a corner of our laundry room and she was hitting me in the head. And these are things that I dealt with in the past, the best that I knew how. And as kids, we're very resilient. We learn how to cope. But this isn't something that's supposed to happen, obviously. And I remember, though, that one time at a certain point, as I was getting backed in the corner and she was flicking my head, and it hurt physically a little bit, but emotionally it hurt so much more. And for whatever reason, it clicked, which was I was able to back myself out of the corner and let her know that this wasn't right, and that it would never happen again. And while my relationship with her for the next 3 years got a little bit better, it was never great. She died when I was 19 years old, my second semester in college. But as I look back on that defining moment in my life, one of many probably, it was the emotional decision I made that this isn't right, that this isn't going to happen. And I tell this story because I know I'm not alone, and people need to understand that bad things do happen, certainly, and other people have problems sometimes that contributes to why it's happening. And I tried to understand that. But I think emotionally, we have to understand that at some point in time, we make this decision that, okay, this is wrong, this isn't going to happen anymore, and then we set out on a new course. Now, certainly, the example I give here is kind of dark, and one that probably many people who are watching now never would have imagined from me, because on the outside and how I coped as a high schooler at Rose Hill, people never would have known that. And that was the intent. We hide things that we don't like. But I think it's important emotionally for us to understand what's going on the best we can, get help if we need to, not be afraid to ask for that help, and then really make that decision emotionally that it's going to be different from here on out. So that's a very dark example. But we deal with emotional decisions throughout our life, where we've got to get inside our head, where it's just us telling ourselves, okay, this is going to change. I'm going to do something different. This isn't right. Whatever it may be, that inner voice speaking to you, I think is so very important to listen to. And I would say, never be afraid to speak your mind, and always listen to that inner voice, because when they say that gut feeling is generally right, I think it is. You know, for me, for years and years, I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't have the ability or the inclination, I guess, to reach out and get help. Really, I didn't do that until probably almost 40 years later, with a lot of counseling and things of that nature. And while it was a tough thing to go through, it was also something that made me who I am. And I think it's a good lesson to embrace who you are and what you've gone through, and understand it's what has made you you. And so for me, while those were bad things, they made me who I am, and I accept them, I acknowledge them, and then I try to build upon them. And that's why I talk to others about it, because I think maybe they can learn from something that I've gone through.